with Metalholic. I'm here with Jon Oliva, legendary songwriter and performer with Sabotage, Dr. Butcher, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Circle to Circle, and of course most recently Jon Oliva's Pain. Man, you just got your fingers everywhere, don't you?
I got a lot of fingers, man.
That's true.
Yeah, I guess so. Sounds like it.
Yeah. Now, we were going to talk earlier in the week, but I was told that you were actually in the studio working on new music again. What's going on there? You just released the album.
I actually was doing some bonus tracks for the Sabotage catalog stuff that Dell Records is putting out. They needed a couple more bonus tracks, so I offered my services to go in and do some, and it was a lot of fun. It came out really nice.
Of course, everything that everybody knows of Jon Oliva starts with Sabotage. You were sort of the mastermind behind that, along with your brother Criss, back in the day, as they say. What's going on with Sabotage these days?
Well, Sabotage is basically, this is the last thing that, as far as those phases of Sabotage go, you had your Criss Oliva phase, then you had your after Criss Oliva phase, and now you have the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which is basically, I think what basically happened is just the Sabotage, of Dead Winter Dead and Wake 'Em Magellan. We just outgrew the name, the band and the horizons that Paul and I want to go down, the roads we want to go down, cannot be done under the guise of a heavy metal band from the 80s. So, a change had to be made, and as soon as the change was made, I don't have to say, compare the success of the two projects, because that would be ludicrous, but, it's all the same people, and this was a way to doing these Sabotage Greatest Hits things, and doing these bonus tracks and putting the stuff out, is just our way of saying, like, this is what, it's time to move on, thank you, and this is, Paul and I put this together, and, we hope you enjoy it. This is what we thought are the highlights of the work that we did, and, we picked songs that, we felt showed the versatility and the talent in the band, and that's it. And now it's time to move on to, whatever the next phase is going to be, who knows. But as far as anybody seeing that band together again under the name Sabotage, it's just something that's never going to happen. So for me, this puts closure on that whole phase of the thing. And, and then the future is the future. If one day I decide to use the name Sabotage again, I will, but it's not, that lineup of the band will never be seen again under that name, because it's just impossible. So this is our way of just putting a closure on everything, I think.
When you went into doing the new project, and I believe Festival's the fourth album now for Pain?
Yes.
How did you choose to call it Jon Oliva's Pain?
Well, it's actually a joke, and what we really call the band is JOP. So,
right.
And what it was I wanted to originally call it Taj Mahal. That was what I was going to call it, and then just what happened to me with Sabotage and Avatar happened to me with Taj Mahal. About a week before I had to turn in all the the artwork and everything like that, I got the phone call. Can't use the name Taj Mahal because of this blues guitar player guy and blah 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 and all this shit. And I remember we were at the studio recording that night when we got the phone call. We were sitting out in the back having a smoke, and I was just sitting there. I was going like, this is a fucking pain in the ass. And then I was just like, I said, I should just call it Jon Oliva's Pain, because this is what it is. It's a pain in my ass right now. And then I think it was the drummer. He said, like, you mean like JOP? He said it would be like ELP, JOP. And we would know it's Jon Oliva's Pain. And I was like, it is my pain, because it's a pain in the ass having to come up with a name. We had this name, we had it for like 8 months. We were like, this is what we're going to use. Everything was all said and done, and then this popped up. So that's how that name came about. And, we don't really call it Jon Oliva's Pain. We just call it JOP. So, it's just, and just the P stands for pain in my ass. So that bullshit with the name, and a little bit of humor, but, because it's really just, I should have just called it Oliva or something, but I don't know. Name things are really weird with me. I don't like names. It's a pain in the ass. So people know who the fuck I am right now. I've been around long enough, so I'm like one of those old flavors of ice cream that they always have at Baskin Robbins, that they just won't get rid of. You always always have Rocky Road, man. I'm the Rocky Road of heavy metal.
There you go. Now, when people hear your name, aside from obviously the fond memories of Sabotage, probably at least in the industry, the first word that comes to my mind is prolific. You really do you've been involved in a lot of projects, and you've always got different things going. How many projects are you currently working on?
Well, I'm producing a couple things, and a band called Doctrine, and then a band called The Eternal Effect, which is a bunch of young kids actually out of New Jersey that are really, really good. Definitely not heavy metal, though. I don't quite know what they are, except weird right now. I don't know what they are. But, and I've got, the TSO stuff, which is my priority work, because it has to be, because it's what pays the bills. So,
right.
The other things I do out of love, the JOP thing is just my way of getting Criss's music out that he didn't get the chance to get out, and stuff that me and him were working on, in between all those years and all the times we were doing those albums with Paul. We were always still writing other things. I got tapes of stuff that I want to do, and JOP gives me that avenue and gives me the chance to still go out and play the Sabotage songs and keep that, at least that part of the band alive a little bit. When I go out and play, I play all the stuff. Usually all the stuff I play is stuff from the Criss Oliva era. I don't play really any. I think Chance is the only song I play that's not something that Criss was on. So the material I do of Sabotage material is the old school stuff. And then I do my new stuff, which also has a lot of Criss's music involved in it. I mean, Criss has got musical contributions on every JOP album so far, and that's always a special thing for us. It's like he's in a little way, a little member of the band, that contributes little great riffs here and there that I find on tapes that I have of his. So, that's cool.
I was going to say, and listening to everything that you've done, it's like, even when you're not specifically using something he did, I can almost still hear his memory in your work. Do you often write with him in mind, or is he just simply always with you?
Well, we learned together, so we played very, the thing about Criss was a great soloist. He got in the chain of God's gifts, and what my parents or my father gave to us. Criss got my father's hands, which are very fluent, and I got the songwriting thing. But I had to struggle a lot harder than Criss to play, but we learned to play guitar together. Our older brother taught us our first guitar chords, and there would be me and Criss sitting in front of him, and him showing us like an A chord and stuff, and then showing us how to do the rock and roll. And we learned how to play together, so we held our hand on the strings is very similar. So in the early days, if you listen to stuff and there would be no solos being played, it was very difficult to tell who was playing, whether it was me or Criss, because we played that similar. And then he just was so fluent at playing solos. I can play great solos, but they've got to be slow. I cannot play fast solos. It's like that. If I am the slowest guy in the world. And he just had these fluent hands that could just do things that were unbelievable. I'm still in awe of what he was able to do on the guitar. You had to stand there. I stood next to the guy on stage for 15 some odd years watching this shit. Every night he would amaze me in some other way. And the funny thing was you didn't really know he was doing it. That was the thing that used to freak us out, because he was such a natural. He would just do shit. Rarely do the same thing twice. It would be one brilliant thing. If you didn't get it on tape, you were fucked.
This is great stuff to hear, because, Criss was as much a legend as you are, and it's just heartbreaking that we lost him so early. So it's good
it's sad.
It's good that he lives on through what you're doing.